Welcome to our second portion of the exiting class out of high school, which you really didn't have as much of a senior year. Sorry about that. And then going off to college. Some of you will be going off to college. Some of you are actually staying in town. We're excited about having y'all in our college ministry. I'm expecting y'all to be there. But my name is Philip Brown. I've been here at the church since 2005 full time. I've been working with the college students for the last 7 or 8 years. And I just let you know, my college experience was a great experience. I was heavily involved in the life of a church there and also heavily involved in a ministry on campus called the Baptist Collegiate Ministry. At that time, it was the Baptist Student Union. But now most campuses that are secular campuses are called BCMs. And so I was able to, I grew tremendously during my college years. So people invested in me. I had a man who discipled me one-on-one. And so my college experience is a great one. And I want the same thing for you. And so I think these are things that we're talking about should help you have a great college experience. What I'm going to talk to you today about is how do you stay connected to the church and in your walk with the Lord while you're in college. It's not an easy thing if you're not ready and you're not proactive in taking those steps and thinking about those kind of things before you get there. And I'm sure you've already thought about the temptations that are going to be out there and wondered what it's going to be like. I want to start to ease some of that for you by talking about some of the things that I've seen our college students struggle with and also where they've been victorious and those who have done well while they have come in, especially as freshmen, to our college experience. What I want to start off with is I'm going to have our college BFG teacher here at 9th and O, or he's the director at our college BFG, come and share a little bit about how things work at our college BFG and what he's seeing pros and cons of those who come in freshmen and who does really well and what do they do in order to get plugged in and stay strong while they're in college in their relationship with Christ. So I've got Nick Braun here with me. Nick Braun is our BFG director for our college group. And Nick, you and Abby have been a part of the college ministry for more than 7 years. You've been serving as ministers in the college ministry for 7 years. But you came in as college students as U of L students. When was that? That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I think we started coming in 9th and O back in 2009. So it's been
11 years.
11 years, yeah.
Wow. How old were y'all when? No, yeah.
I don't talk about that.
Yeah, they were very young.
My wife is still young.
You're a smart man. You're a smart man. That's awesome. So, as we've been talking about how to stay connected in this video, I wanted to ask Nick what he's seen, and especially the last 7 years as he's seen college students come in and out. What is the big thing that you've seen college students do well for those that prosper during college in church? What are the factors that you think play into that?
Yeah, I think a big one is just to be where you are when you're in college. If you stay here at 9th and O, if you stay here in Louisville, then plug in at 9th and O and just commit fully to this church. If you go somewhere else, then recognize that 9th and O is not your church anymore. That where you are those semesters, like that's where you need to plug in, and those are the churches that you need to invest in, and those are the bodies that you need to be a part of.
Yeah. You said something about, I think we were talking earlier, you talked about any college student, even the students we see come in here, we've watched this, students really struggle sometimes to make that commitment early on. Either they make it too early, end up switching churches because of other circumstances, which I'll talk about later in this video. But also, you have students that sometimes just they're still looking, they tour around, 10 different churches. Mm-hmm. And that may not be the scenario wherever college you go to. But, what do you think are the advantages of actually getting plugged in sooner? Like, how long do you think somebody should actually wait till they actually join a church or watch care like we have here at our church, right?
I think your first semester, if you're struggling to identify your church where you are after your first semester, you're doing it wrong. There's a lot of healthy churches in a lot of cities across the United States, but I think that if you're coming home for Thanksgiving and you can't tell your family what church you're going to back at college, like you're probably doing it wrong.
That's good. That's good. You know, I think I hear this a lot from people that leave here. They look for ninth and O. You know, they're trying to find ninth and O somewhere at whatever college. And even non-college students, you know, students that grew up here and then move off. They like, hey, I can't find ninth and O. Well, the point is you're not going to find ninth and O. And so you've grown up here. Many of you have grown up here all your lives. And you're getting ready to go off to college and you're going to try to find what ninth and O. You're not going to find ninth and O. You've got to find out what those core issues are. And we're going to talk a little about those core issues that you got to, you know, put your foot down on and not move away from. But, you know, the things that makes ninth and O special from, you know, Sojourn or Third Ave or something, another solid church that reach college students, is different. You know, that we have things here that make us special that are, we both may have the same doctrine and things, core beliefs, but there's something special about ninth and O. You're not going to find those things. You're not going to find that special thing that you think ninth and O is. So, I mean, you might find something close, but you're probably not going to find ninth and O for sure. So, Nick, what are some of the things that you love about the ninth and O college group? What do we do well when you're trying to say, hey, you know, to a U of L student or Boyd student here in Louisville, what are you advertising about ninth and O's college ministry?
You know, I really love our college ministry. I really think that college is a really formative time in people's lives. So I think it's important. I think it's important to have a strong college ministry in a church.
Sure.
For sure. But I think that our college ministry specifically, I think we do well in community. I think we have a strong group of people who love each other and love on each other and check in on each other.
Yeah.
And that's really encouraging to see. I know for myself, and I know for you as our pastor, it's encouraging to see that. So that's definitely one of our strong suits. I think that our the adult leadership that we have is really strong. We have some really awesome
no doubt
people,
about that one.
for sure. Yeah. With the Hanleys in the house, and then the Holmes, who are just workhorses. Danielle and Peter are great.
And then your wife.
And my wife, she's pretty cool as well. She's pretty cool. And you and your wife are even all right most of the
Thanks,
time.
bro. And you.
I wasn't going to bring myself in
Yes,
this.
understood.
But we have strong leadership, and we have all of the couples that are involved, all five of the couples. We love college people. We love college students. We want to minister to them. We just want to love on them because we know that college is a super strange part of life. You're either going to a new city or you're trying to find, if you stay in the same city and you live with your parents, you're trying to find your footing as an adult while still living with your parents, which is super awkward. And we, as a leadership, we just want to come alongside you and help you figure that out.
Yeah. One of the components that I love about, and you talked about the community we have, that I love about what we do is very similar in many ways to what you do with the youth group now on like Wednesday nights, but we're able to do small groups midweek. Some of those actually happen on like Sunday night, but we do in-home or at a coffee shop somewhere. We do what we call our D groups. And those D groups are split girl, guy, just like you are when you're youth group right now. And they're groups about the size that you have as well. I think something that has got better and better over the years. And I think it's kind of, it's except for COVID-19 that we're experiencing right now. They're actually finishing up online doing Zoom with their D groups right now. The next few weeks they'll be finishing up. But I think that's something that is really good about what we do. And you talked a little bit about getting plugged in. I think being involved in those, a D group somewhere, wherever that is, whether it's here, you definitely got to be part of D group to find that community and get plugged in. If you're not part of one, you're probably not doing it right.
For sure. Yeah, one of my really good friends and mentors in college age ministry, he always said that the D groups or community groups, that's where you're going to make your money. That's when you're really going to make a positive impact on people's lives.
Yeah, and I think if you for those who are going to go to another city, to a campus somewhere, when you're trying to find that church, if you're just going on Sunday mornings, it probably means you're not plugged in. If I talk to you, I'll probably follow up with every one of you at some point in the next semester and I'm asking you, hey, how's it going? And if he said, hey, I'm going to church with so-and-so, I'm probably going, the next question is like, what do you do in the middle of the week with the church? That's going to be my next step, because I'm kind of going to fish for that. But try to find out what else the college group is doing midweek. And that will help you get plugged in. And that's kind of an understood. You hope that you're going to have enough community and friendships that you're not just seeing somebody on Sunday and then disappearing and seeing them the next Sunday. You're not plugged in at that point. They're not really close to you. So I'd encourage you to get involved as soon as possible in your D group. Well, Nick, thanks for coming in. Nick is part of our leadership. Just the structure is very similar to all the adult BFGs. I don't know if you have that in the youth ministry per se, but each BFG we have a director and a teacher. And so you've got Nick and Abby serving as the directors of the class in our college, and then Adam and Liz Howe. Adam is the main teacher. And then you got Danielle and Peter Holmes. They help with small groups and coordinate the small groups or with D groups. And then they host people at their homes as well. And then you've got the Hanleys, and Hanleys help out with fellowships and also with our prayer times and coordinate our prayer fellowships. They all serve in ministering to y'all. We have a dream team for the college ministry, and we're looking forward to having y'all. Thanks, Nick.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Nick, for being here and sharing a little bit about that. Nick and Abby are a great asset to our church. We are gifted with the A team, the dream team, as far as the college ministry goes here. And he has a lot of wealth and knowledge and experience to kind of hopefully help you out in your next step of going in, kind of going on your own, trying to figure out what church life will look like for you as an adult. One of the things that I want to share with you is some of those warnings. Warnings when you go out to a church. What do you need to be careful about? And here's some of the warnings that I encourage you. First, I want to talk about if you're going off to a secular campus. Campus ministries are a great thing. I was part of the BCM. There's great campus ministries. I know we support Cru. My family does. And there's all kind of campus ministries out there that are great. But what I found out that many times campus ministries can take place of the church. You just got to watch out for that. But on the other side, when you think about somebody who's going to be involved in a private college or a Christian college, one of the things they offer there is chapel. And if you're not careful, chapel can take the place, without you even knowing it, of kind of church. It's not created to be that. Good campuses don't try to do that. They don't try to make your chapel service your church. It can feel like it. It's going to look like a normal Sunday morning. And many times you're going to have praise and worship and then followed up by a sermon. And so if you're not careful, that can be something that can feel like church. But let me tell you, it is not church. The church is not the service and not the singing. A lot of times, remember, we think about going to church, but the church is actually the people. And so there's no commitments you've made to that church. There's not church discipline happening in that position of going to chapel. But, you need to get plugged into a church. And, Nick talked about that. If you're not careful and you don't get plugged in soon, you won't find those friendships that you'll need and the relationships to grow early on. And I can tell you, and this is your warning, those who don't get plugged in those first few months usually struggle to get plugged in throughout their college experience. My wife will tell you she did not have the same experience that I did. She went to a private college and she struggled to be a part of it because her church really became what happened at chapel. She didn't live really close to a church that she agreed with, and she was trusting many times other people to drive her to church. So, she struggled to get connected, and that is a real struggle for you. If you're not careful and getting plugged in and becoming either through watch care, which means watch care, if you don't know what that is, we offer that specifically to students. Most of the time, sometimes missionaries would do that, but that means that you're not leaving your church home's membership. You're still maybe giving to them because you're going back and forth. But while you're at college, the church that you pick or choose is watching you while you're there. And that's called watch care. You might ask some of the people there, do you have watch care or a membership that's like that? So I would encourage you to check that out. But I would say even with watch care, after that first or second year, or even earlier than that, join the church. Join the church where you go to. And so that way you're heavily involved, you're committed to that church, you're getting a real experience of that. And that's hard for us to say because we love you and we care for you, but that's one reason we want you, because we do love and care for you, to join that church, because that is the best case scenario. Another warning I would have for you, many of you are deciding whether or not, your parents are helping you decide this, is whether or not you will have a car while you go. And so many of you will not. And one of the warnings I always tell people, be aware that one of the big issues of not having a car is it makes it kind of hard on Sundays. If you want to go to a specific church, you're going to have to find other people that are going to that same church. And I'm sure if you're in the right groups, they're going to be talking about what churches they're going to attend that Sunday. But let's say, for instance, a few weeks in and nobody's going to the church you really want to go to. Well, guess what? You're going to have to go, if you're going to go that day, to that church that the other people choose. What's the problem with that? The warning is that when you do that, you just need to be ready that many times you may have to go to a church that is maybe not your first choice if you do not have the privilege of having a car. And so be aware of that. It may be a choice that you actually pick a closer church to your campus so that you can walk, or somebody can drop you off on the way to their church. So just be aware of that as your parents and you are making that decision of whether or not you're going to take a vehicle to your campus. Going to church on Sunday mornings is a big deal. If you do have a car, you may be the person everybody is wanting to ride with, and that can be a great advantage to you on the other side. You can actually take people with you on a secular campus that may not. You get to have the car, and other people may not have one. So it's going to be an evangelistic opportunity. Or you get to be the person that kind of everybody says, hey, I'm riding with you. And you got to think about that with your parents and make that decision now. Well, the last thing I want to talk to you about is what are those non-negotiables that you're looking for when you try to find a church home? What is that thing that you would say, if they don't have this or if they do have this, I'm not going to go back there. And this is the thing that I think there's two basic ones that I always think of when I think of non-negotiables. The first one is, are they preaching the Bible? Not just preaching from the Bible, are they preaching through the Bible? Are they being exegetical as they preach through the Bible passage? Are they just preaching from passage, pick it out, and then not get it? You don't have to open your Bible. As one verse comes up, and it may take a few weeks because sometimes somebody may be teaching through a subject. So if you go to a church and they may be teaching through a certain topic, don't think that church doesn't preach through the Bible. You may have to go back a few times to get that. So make sure they're using the Bible and they believe that God's word is infallible. They believe it's inerrant and it has no error. So I would look at that and make sure, and it has authority in your life. Okay? So those are crucial. That part is the number one thing. The second thing that I think is huge is to find out where they are in their mind for missions and where their heart for missions is. You know, if you find a church that has not been on a mission trip in a long time and that doesn't seem to be doing any kind of work in the community as far as reaching out to their community with the gospel, I would say that church is a church you probably don't need to join. I know a family member that has been a part of a very large church, and they cut their missions out basically to nothing in the last few years. And my family member had to actually make a big move after being a part of that church because he didn't believe that's the way the church should be. I mean, our call to the church in the Great Commission is to go take the gospel, right? So if the church doesn't seem to be evangelistic, you don't hear things about missions, you don't hear about mission opportunities in the community, you need to be very careful with that church. Now, secondarily, there are other areas that you need to be mindful of when you go to find that church. One of those things is their denomination. You may be going to a church. You got to realize our Baptist faith can be in other denominations in many ways. A lot of people could be not have Baptist on their name of the church, but actually be a Baptist church and even be a Southern Baptist church. So, do your research online. You can do a lot of this before you get there in this part. Find out what they believe. And a lot of times just pull up our website, find out what our core beliefs are at nalbc.org and match them up to the churches in the community there. There are some things in this that you can do before you get there. And that is one of those things that you can look at. Now, it doesn't mean that when you get there that they're going to be following all those and believe all those things. But be aware of that. Those are things that are the primary things that I think are important. And then the secondary things. Look at those core values. Look at those things that they believe and see where they line up. There could be issues of the mode of baptism. A lot of times there are a lot of Presbyterian churches that are pretty close to us except for baptism. And so you've got to make that decision. You need to have a conversation with your parents where they hold to that. I think it's a great conversation to have with your parents and see where they stand on some of these issues. And you've got to make your own decision once you go off to college. So after you've talked to your parents about some of the things, I would encourage you to make a list of those possible churches even before you get there. Make that list. Keep it with you and be ready to make that choice and go that first Sunday. Even figure out, be the leader. Go to that church that you want to go to that first week. Okay? All right. Now, finally, for those who are staying here, I want to talk a little bit about our college ministry here. Our college ministry here is a great ministry that has really thrived in the last few years. What will you experience when you come in to our college ministry at Ninth and O? First of all, we have two major things that go on every week. We have our BFG, which is on Sunday mornings in the second hour. And that is not different than what you're experiencing now, not during COVID-19, but what you experienced before we weren't able to come to church at the church building. So you'll go to service, and then you'll come upstairs in the main lobby, go up the stairs to room 202. In room 202, you're going to experience it much like you do in the youth ministry a couple times. Have some donuts sometimes. I know Sid fed y'all donuts forever. Love me some Sid donuts, and I've stolen a few of those in the past. But there'll be a snack usually, some kind of breakfast, and some coffee up there for y'all. And then it'll be hangout time for like 15 or 20 minutes. And then we come back in, and we're going to have a lesson, and usually some share time to talk about what God's doing in our lives. And then we're going to usually have breakout into smaller groups and have a little discussion after that. That's usually our Bible fellowship group on Sunday morning, our BFG. Then during the week, during the semesters, we have our D groups, which is similar to what you do on Wednesday night now in the youth group. So we'll be split up guys and girls, and that will be in the people's homes throughout the city. Sometimes they're done in coffee shops and on campuses. But those meet according to what's the best for you. So this year, I think there's 6 different small groups, 3 girls and 3 guys groups. And so you'll be have the opportunity to sign up for that in the fall and find out which one is the best for you. Thirdly, there's activities happening probably about once or twice a month that you'll hear about. And those activities range from having going bowling for an event. That's what we usually do at the beginning of a semester. Ultimate frisbee outside, frisbee golf, picnics out, going downtown to the waterfront. So there's all kind of activities that we'll be doing, some of them on campus, some of them on our campus here at the church, and some of them around the city of Louisville. So that's kind of what you should expect. The big thing that I want to let you know, as you become an adult, and you are, as 18, the world says you're an adult. I expect as well for you to get involved as an adult at our church. If you're a member of Ninth and O Baptist Church and you're a born-again believer, you have gifts and talents that we need to use. And without using those gifts and talents, in some sense, Ninth and O is being shorted. So I call this, I do not give college students a get out of free jail card. I want you to get plugged in using your gifts and talents for the Lord. And so as you come to the college ministry, one of the first questions I'm going to ask you, hey, do you know your spiritual gift? And one thing, if you don't know that, I would challenge you this summer to talk to your parents, talk to friends, and actually take a spiritual gift survey if you haven't done that already. Look at what the areas that you're very gifted in and what God has gifted you in, and be thinking about ways you can serve 9th and O. And so when I see you in the fall and you come in the ministry, it won't take long before I come up to you and say, hey, how are you getting plugged in? How are you going to use your spiritual gifts? And I tell you what, I'm excited about the fall. It's going to be exciting for sure. Hopefully we won't be shut down. We'll be able to see each other, bump, shake, give a hug. And I'm looking forward to the fall semester. And for those that are staying here, we'll see you then. For those that won't, hopefully we'll see you this summer and we'll get plugged in a little bit for the things we'll be doing this summer. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks for joining on this video.